WrestleMania 2025 is beginning to look very unpredictable, in my opinion. Very unpredictable. Many of us in the internet wrestling community thought we already had the main events figured out, or that we were at least close to figuring it out. But now it seems that we're getting something very different, and we still have 2 months until WrestleMania, so who knows how much more different is that the right grammar? How differently it could look from now. I guess how different it could look from now would be proper grammar. But either way, that's one word to really describe this year's WrestleMania is unpredictable. Unpredictable, which could be a good thing. A lot of us like to assume that we know what's going to happen, and we believe that we know what's best for storylines and what's best for who goes over, who deserves to be pushed, and things of that matter, But when we do that, we expect outcomes that we assume are best for the company. And hey, I understand. For the last, before Triple H was chief creative officer, whatever his title is, head of creative, before he had that title, the last couple years of Vince were definitely some of the worst in WWE. Some of the worst. And so you could make an argument that back then, honestly, the fans knew better than Vince McMahon. The fans knew better than the head of creative. Now, I think Triple H has definitely done better than Vince McMahon, and hey, can still grow. There's definitely some concern when it comes to, say, the mid-card division, when it comes to the women's division in its entirety. Even a bit when it comes to the tag team division. But either way, Triple H has been doing a great job. And I think it's good for there to be some unpredictability, because we can be wrong now. We can definitely be wrong. It's no longer Vince in charge. It's somebody who knows, for the most part, what they're doing. And you know what? We'll be able to see that this year, because the stories for WrestleMania this year are the planned, or who knows, planned, or again, I don't know. You don't know sometimes. Like, did they have this all planned out? Did they not have this planned out? Right? Like, was Jey Uso originally always going to win the Royal Rumble this year, or was it going to be John, or was it going to be Punk, or was it going to be, who knows, Roman? And things happen, circumstances change. I don't know. I have no idea. But I think that regardless, I take back regardless. On the outside, it looks like it is a rocky road, a rocky path to the main events of WrestleMania. Because we all assumed, right, we were going to get Cena or Punk versus Rhodes for the WWE Championship. We assumed we were going to get Punk or Cena versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Or we assumed we were going to get Roman versus Rock for probably the title of Tribal Chief. And there's some breaking news today. Found out that The Rock is going to be in he's going to be in SmackDown tomorrow. This is recording on Thursday. And I've heard two things. It's going to continue the Final Boss story, and we'll see him at WrestleMania, or he's just announcing the fact that WrestleMania will be held in New Orleans next year for WrestleMania. because they are going to be in New Orleans tomorrow for Friday Night SmackDown, so it kind of makes sense. But either way, I think we're probably, I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's things that it's at the end of the day, it's matches that we thought were cemented, that we thought were a fact going to happen. And now we are left guessing on what's to happen. And so, who knows, man? Who knows? But I mean, it's all a good thing. Because now, as fans, we're guessing what's going to happen. We're guessing. And I think for the most part, that's a good thing. Now, after that little introduction, the point of this video is to really talk about one probable main event, or one match that I don't think most people, including myself, saw coming, especially with the circumstances of how this match came about. And you know, this match is a bit controversial. Definitely some people on one side, a lot of people on the other side. One says this match shouldn't happen. One says this match should happen. This person shouldn't have won the Royal Rumble. This person should have won the Royal. They should have won the Royal Rumble, or it's a good thing they won. Can you guess which match I'm talking about? It's the Yeet Man himself, Jey Uso, versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Which, by the way, we already saw. Now here at WrestleBrew, we say what we think, you know, whether or not it's popular opinion or whatever the, you know, with the risk of backlash or whatever else may happen. And with that being said, personally, I don't think Jey Uso, first of all, should have won the Royal Rumble. I don't think he should be challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I don't think he should be beating Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And now let me tell you why. But first, I'm going to ask you a question. Who did Gunther lose his Intercontinental Championship to last year at WrestleMania? Sami Zayn. And what was the story there? Underdog versus the big dog. Sami, who was the underdog, had to conquer the size and strength of Gunther through his own willpower to win and to become singles champion, win a belt that he hadn't held in years. Now let's look at the story of the Heavyweight Championship this year, which is held by Gunther. Jey Uso has to overcome the size and strength of Gunther to become champion. And also to prove the other side of the WWE universe, the internet wrestling community, all of us out here who don't believe he should be even in that place, to prove them wrong and show that he can be heavyweight champion. They sound very similar to me, these two storylines, the one from last year with Sami Zayn and the one for this year with Jey Uso. They sound very, very similar. Now, they are a bit different because it's not so much Sammy, I don't believe, really had this whole side of the WWE universe who were saying he shouldn't be the one to beat Gunther. He shouldn't be in that position, at least as much as they are with Jey Uso. Because I remember I was one of those guys. I thought it should have been Chad that should have gone on to WrestleMania to go on and beat Gunther for that title. Excuse me. Ooh. I'm a little gassy. Ugh. Where was I? And with Jay, it's this. I mean, it's the same thing, except he has more fans saying that he shouldn't be in that place than Sammy. And also, Sammy did not win the Royal Rumble that year. It was Jay. So circumstances are different for how they got into that position. But at their core, it is an undersized, scrawnier, no offense, underdog versus a dominant, bigger, much stronger, big dog. Now, I'm all for an underdog story. I think it's obviously a good story to tell, especially with the right circumstances. But I don't think you do 2 consecutive WrestleManias in a row with that same story with the same person. And nor would I want to see that person lose 2 consecutive WrestleManias. Now, when I say undersized with Jay and Sammy, yeah, and we'll focus, I guess, more so on Jay, because I'm fine with Sammy winning last year with that underdog story, even though I believe Sammy does that way too much, and he definitely does the Hulk Hogan thing a little too much, where he gets right back up and kicks out of pins after 1 or 2 finishers. It gets tiring. But that was fine for last year. This year, totally different year. Should be different. And when I look at Jay, I look at his moveset, I look at his promo ability, I look at his character. And I love wrestling. Wrestling is one of my favorite hobbies. I watch it every Friday. I watch it every Monday. I watch it every Tuesday. I watch every PLE or special that there is. And I watch other promotions as well. I'm a fan. I'm not a producer. I don't have experience in the business. But from a fan's perspective and one who enjoys this art form, you look at Jay and you look at Gunther, and I can't help but see the discrepancy between the two. For one, promos. I've thought this way about Jay for a long time. Well, first, let me preface it with the character. Gunther has a great character. Jay's character is great as well. It's because of that gimmick. It's because of that character that Jay is able to be so over, to be so popular with the fans. Despite his lack in the ring and his lack on the mic. No offense to the guy. When I hear a Jay promo, besides the one from this past Monday night, where obviously there was a lot of passion, there was a lot of personality in that promo, because it's for real Jay describing his feelings, describing how He earned this right to be in WrestleMania, that he fought hard for this, that he's going to prove the doubters wrong, that he should be here. And it was that was one of his better promos. Now, if you look at his other promos, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you a, what's it called? This is what I hear from a Jay promo. And this seems to be the, I guess, layout of a Jay Uso promo. Yeet. 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 When Jay promos, no offense to the guy, there's a lack of rhythm. There's a lack of fluidity. There's been times where he's talking and there's like a slight hesitation almost, and in that hesitation the crowd yeets even though he's still talking, or he's done talking and there, a good minute passes by and the crowd decides to yeet, and he's, it's not good. And this is just how he's always cut promos. Even before the yeet, there was a lack of fluidity. Gunther is good. He's great on promos because he's not relying on this kind of gimmick. It's just pure heel promos. There's no need to wait for a catchphrase. There's no need to wait for an interaction from the crowd. It's just straight up promo. And I'm sorry, but Jay does not have that ability, at least as of right now. I'll tell you what, though, his brother does. You hear a Jimmy Uso promo? Much better than a Jay Uso promo. Regardless if he's a heel or a face, just totally different and much better. No offense to Jay. Now you want to look at wrestling ability in the ring. Gunther's style, very simple, very straightforward, but every move he does has a great amount of impact, and there's a decent amount of moves that he has. Now let's look at Jay Uso. Jay Uso, no offense to the guy, and when I say these things, I say it because Jay just has obviously he has a lot of potential. I mean, look at the position that he's in, right? But when I see a lack of originality in him, it is irritating. Because let's look at his moveset, right? So he has the Uso splash, which, okay, him and his brother have been using for years, obviously. But I think if you break out of that mold, that tag team that you've been just in for your whole career, and that's how everybody understood you, as just a tag team wrestler, and then you break out of that, I would say if you're going to do a move that you've been doing for the last couple years and you break out of that mold, you do it differently. You do a variation of it. When he goes up and does the Uso splash, it sucks because not only is it the same splash that he did before, but sadly now everybody does a splash, and it kind of just ruins it kind of ruins the look of it. You know what I mean? I wish he would do a little variation. I wish he would maybe turn a little bit, even just turning, doing some kind of just taunt in the air or something that matches with his gimmick during the splash would be great. And then there's the Rock punch, that when he throws his hand in the air and then he spits on his hand and then he rocks the guy. Not original. He might do a little move to it, but brother, come on, man. That's your cousin's move, bro. Do something different. And then we have the super kicks, which have been obviously overdone these last couple of years, everybody and they mother do that freaking super kick. I don't mind the super kick, but come on. Again, same thing with the splash. You've been doing it for years. Do something different. Add a little something to it. And this isn't the same case as, say, like The Rock's when he spits on his hand and he punches the guy. The only thing different that Jey Uso does is a little shimmy. You know, yeah, little variation to it. But guess what? That's not your move. You weren't the first one to do it. Your cousin was. Your cousin, who was definitely more popular than you and has, no offense, a greater career than you. You're copying that move from him. And now we have the spear. I need to know who in the world thought it was okay for Jey Uso to do the spear. Who? The spear should be saved for wrestlers who look like the kind of person you don't want to be tackled by. The kind of person who looks like if they run straight at me with the amount of speed and force they can project in their legs, they will break me in half. They will break my ribs. I will be in the hospital for 6 months. That's the kind of person that I want to see delivering a spear, not Jey Uso. And again, it's another move copied from his cousin, who's, I'm sorry, better than him, who has a greater career than him. Jey needs a new moveset. An entire new moveset, in my opinion. Get rid of the spear. Get rid of the spit on fist punch from The Rock. Get rid of that. Do something different from those two. If you're going to keep the splash, do some kind of variation of it. If you're going to do the super kick, don't do so many of them. And maybe try to add your own little spin to it. Besides that, I want to see some new moves in there. This is a new Jey Uso. This is a main event Jey Uso. This is somebody who's going to be in the main event, in the main picture, being seen from everybody in that arena, everybody that's watching on TV, everybody that's watching on Netflix, everybody in the world that decides to click on Raw that night or click on that PLE that night. And the last thing we want to see are super kicks, splashes, half-butted spears, and a copy of Rock's signature punch. I want to see something different because Jey has the potential to be different and exceed with that. He has that potential, and it's irritating to see him not doing that, either through his own volition or because somebody in the back is telling him that he should be doing all these moves. I don't know. But either way, you know, that's how I feel about his moveset. And I'm sorry. The only reason he's gotten into this position is because of his gimmick. I think we can all agree on that. And it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's not necessarily a good thing. You know, it's a bad thing when you don't have a good moveset, if you can't really talk in the ring. But it's a good thing if you can do those things, and guess what? Now, because of your gimmick, the audience is able to see more of you. And I'm not sure if Jey should be, not unsure. I don't think he should. I'm sorry. I don't think he should be in this position. I'm sorry. But Nonetheless, that is what's happening. And so, that's going to leave us in a bit of a pickle here. A bit of a pickle, because either way, someone is going to leave that ring as champion. The question is, who's it going to be? And how are they going to win? If Gunther loses either way, if he loses clean, he loses credibility because he got beat by a smaller wrestler. If he loses because of interference, he loses credibility because he couldn't defeat Jey Uso, who's smaller and scrawnier than him, by himself. And side note, I think it would be kind of cool because we'd be able to see Ludwig Kaiser and possibly Pete Dunne, interfere for him, help him out a bit, because those guys have been, going at each other a bit. There's kind of like some seeds planted that they could team up. And especially knowing Pete Dunne was mixed up with Gunther back in the day at NXT UK, there's definitely a possibility. There's definitely a route you could take to have that happen. But, say that does happen, Gunther has those two interfere for him. He still doesn't win clean. He still doesn't win by himself. Jey, on the other hand, if he wins, well, we're going to see Jey Uso as World Heavyweight Champion. And, we'll see if he's able to take that on or not. He's either going to prove the doubters wrong or he's going to prove the doubters right. So we'll see. But if he loses, there is a risk. There's a risk of squandering, of losing all that popularity that Jey has been able to obtain. The type of popularity that's lightning in a bottle. The type of popularity that in recent years I can compare to Punk in AEW and Punk when he came back to WWE. I think Jey Uso's popularity is actually exceeds that just a bit, because the fans have stood by him this last year and a half since he's been a singles champion, right? I'm trying to think, because he won the Intercontinental title, then he lost it. Fans were with him both outcomes, and I think and then he challenged Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship not too long ago. Lost. Fans are still by him, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's challenged for what's the World Heavyweight Championship against Damien too. Either way, my point is that throughout the losses, throughout the lows of Jey Uso's wrestling record, since he's been a singles wrestler, the fans have stood by him. And so I think there's a good chance that the fans will still be by him. But at the same time, you don't get this kind of popularity all the time. And so, should you risk it? I don't know. I have no idea. But we'll see how that goes. Now, personally, if you ask me, a wrestling fan, one of the many voices in the wrestling community, I think Jey should have challenged Braun. I think they had a story there. They've both faced each other once. They've beaten each other once for the titles. You run it back one more time. Best are I guess technically best 2 out of 3, but it's really just one match left, if anything. And you have that storyline instead. So that leaves Punk or Cena to go against Gunther for that World Heavyweight Championship, and that leaves Punk or Cena to go against roads for the WWE Championship. Either whoever wins goes against one person, whoever loses goes against the other person. Whatever. Sorry, whoever wins the Royal Rumble goes against one person. Whoever wins the Elimination Chamber goes against the other one. And anyways, as much as I love Braun, and it sucks that he's not getting the amount of screen time that he should be getting. As much as I love Braun, there's more credibility to Jay beating him than Gunther because of the size difference, or in this case, size similarity. Because Jay's like a 5'11", maybe 6 foot. Same thing with Braun. And if you do this match, Jay goes over. He gets his WrestleMania moment. He probably gets the biggest pop of the night and possibly could steal match of the night. Possibly. Big possibility. After I just like trashed on his wrestling, on his moveset. No, but I think there's a way to do it and to tell a story in that match. So it's not necessarily just the moves, but it's also them in the ring telling the story that would steal match of the night. And hopefully we would get Jay being champ for longer than a month. Then because he was only champ for a month last time. But with him being champ, he would also bring more eyes to that Intercontinental Championship. With all that popularity he has, we'll get more eyes on the mid-card division, hopefully. Which is something that everybody can agree can be done better. And that leaves Braun now freed to challenge Gunther and whoever wins the WWE Championship. So he gets more screen time. He gets more of that main event picture. He gets more experience in that position. It's a win-win. And let me say this too. When I say that these guys are undersized, I'm not saying they're undersized because they're short and they're skinny. I'm talking about Sami Zayn and Jay. I'm mostly saying that they're scrawnier than Gunther. If a guy's shorter and he's thicker, he's wider, I don't mind that. A few examples in my head: Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. Or shucks, even Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio's gotten pretty big too. Those guys being champions, world champions, heck yeah. Chad Gable being world champion, heck yeah. The guy's got size. So, no offense to Jay and no offense to Sammy, but just wanted to clarify that those guys, it's more so on the skinnier part than anything else. But, and that might sound like body shaming, but look, body shaming in this day and age, it just means speaking facts. I go up to I post something online that says something like, being 400 pounds when you're 5 foot tall is totally unhealthy. That could be described as body shaming. Or saying, if you want to live a long and healthy life, you should watch what you eat and exercise. Also could be seen as body shaming. Now, don't be a butthole. Don't say, dang dude, or dang girl, you're fat as fuck, and not in a good way. I could roll you down a hill, and you would roll down at the speed of sound. You're so fat, nobody loves you. That's so mean. That's so mean, but I don't know why that's so funny. No, but either way, like just like things like that. Like that's just being a butthole. That's just being a jerk. Don't do things like that. Definitely not advocating or saying that that is totally okay, because that's totally such a dick move. But just stating facts here. Stating facts in a loving manner. And trust me, dude. I went to the doctor last year. First of all, last year, that should tell you enough about my health status. Doctor told me to lose like 40 pounds. I lost about 10 pounds and then I gained 8 pounds. And so I've been fluctuating since then. You know? So I've only really lost like 2 pounds here over last year. I look in the mirror, I take my shirt off, I see rolls, I see love handles, I see see one piece of fat on each side of myself, and I could just grip it. I could just grab it like it's a stress relief toy, you know. I see how deep my belly button goes. I turn to the side and I see how extended my stomach goes. All right, I am not the healthiest person in the room, and Sammy and Jay are much healthier than me and can run more cardio than me for sure. They can run the ropes as long and as hard as they want compared to me. I could probably do it once. Probably once. When I play basketball, I have to do half court. I will not do full court. If I do full court, I will die. You will bury me on that court because I am too heavy for you to lift me off of that court. If I pass out, it's donezo. I'm just there. I'll turn into a statue because of how long I will be there. Either way, I'm just saying. From a big guy, I know from appearance wise what on the outside, looking at a matchup between two people based on just physical appearance, I can tell which one looks like a champ, looks like it can beat other people up, and which one doesn't. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, with all that being said, there's a lot to look forward to in these next couple of months for WrestleMania. And, we get to witness what's going to happen, and we get to experience this time of unpredictability. Now, no hard feelings towards Jay or Sammy. At the end of the day, it's wrestling. At the end of the day, it's not life or death. So it's okay if something happens that we don't believe to be right in the wrestling world. It's okay, as long as it's not changing too much of what wrestling should be. But anyways, so I definitely want to do more videos, more takes on the other matchups that we'll probably have for WrestleMania, especially as those cards become more solidified. For example, I'm pretty sure it's going to be John versus Cody. I'm pretty sure. But if that should change, then I will definitely do a video on that matchup. I'll definitely do one on Liv versus Rhea, Charlotte versus Tiffany, and whatever else pops up, But yeah, all for the future, and definitely it's gonna be fun, and this is a good time. This is a good time in wrestling. At the end of the day, we're gonna see some good things, I think. But before I go, I want to ask you guys a question. Who would you rather win, Jay or Gunther? And tell me why. And tell me if you're confident in this year's WrestleMania. Through all the kind of like rockiness that we've been experiencing, throughout the unpredictability and the assumptions that this was going to go one way, but it turns out to go another way. Let me know. Any whoozin'. Blessings, y'all.